Hey everyone, Tim here with the TFT Patch 17.9 rundown. This is our last patch before set 18, Enchanted Wilds, goes live in all regions. Right now it's currently on PBE, so if you have access to that, definitely go check it out. There's a lot of interesting new traits and 5 costs, and a cool few spins on old content, old set mechanics like wisps. But anyways, back to set 17. Again, this is our last patch, so we can do some crazy things. I will still go over the patch goals, which is going to be pretty short because a lot of the team is focused on that engine shift to Unreal in set 18. So there's a lot of bugs we're squishing every single day, a lot of bounds patches for set 18. So the team for set 17 is a little bit smaller. But as always, we can do kind of crazy stuff on the last patch, kind of really test a few waters, or just live out your designer fantasies, those crazy ideas we have late at night across the dinner table. But it's going to be a smaller patch than normal because, as I mentioned, Unreal takes a lot of effort right now. The team is kind of jumping on every single bug that we see, trying to make that launch day the best thing possible. But let's jump into it. First thing is traits. Only one here. It's going to be Shepherd. Shepherd was pretty good most of the set, but mostly as a tank and kind of an AP generator, I guess. And for something with such a cute model at the 5-piece and the nice pair, the mother-daughter pair at the 7, it's kind of sad that never really got to feel like the star of your comp. So for Shepherd, we're going to be lowering that AP per cast, taking some of that selfless power out of them, but adding it into their actual spells, right? So their mana is going to go down, the shield's going to go down in duration so they can cast more often, and then they're just going to do a lot more damage, right? So you're going to see them spin and cast a lot more. Hopefully it looks more fun. It's not going to be like the perfect solution to this, but the most we can do on the last patch. Moving into champs, Fate Weavers and Twisted Fate have always been this high roll, low roll type of trait, but obviously when we wanted to balance the game, we couldn't really make it that extreme. So for the last patch, we're going to kind of go all in on that fantasy, right? Twisted Fate here, when he rolls a 9, is going to do way more damage. As a trade-off, when he rolls a 1, he's going to do way less damage. And we've kind of added hooks to both ends now. So if he rolls a 9, he'll always grant 1 gold, right? So you can play on stage 1, on stage 2, you can play as many TFs as you want, and hopefully you can roll 9 to get a bunch of gold. Infinite money hack. But if you roll a 1, he's going to take 15% max health true damage, so he's going to slowly kill himself. If you're really lucky, TF will, as I said, kill himself. So that should be pretty fun. Twisted Fate reroll. Back again. Now on the 2 costs. First change is for Gwen. She was just weak, wasn't really good. There's not much we can do with the spell shape here with a 2 cost that is so aggressively jumping into your backline all the time. When she's strong, it's pretty frustrating early game, and when she's weak, she's just not really clicked that often in her trait web. So she's just getting a buff. She'll be stronger. Pretty simple. Melio, going on that Fate Weaver path I talked about, gets a whole new addition to his spell. Now, whenever Melio casts, he has a 40% chance to cast another ball, right? This will just shoot out of him at the same time. And then that ball also has a 40% chance to cast another one. And that one has another 40% chance. So if you get really lucky, you can have around 4 balls kicking out at the same time. And then his spell is the exact same. So you shoot out 4 balls, they can all bounce, they can all bounce, they can all bounce infinite times. So you have a bunch of these balls flying around the map. It really, really looks cool if you get lucky. Because it's just a straight buff, we had to nerf him a little bit. But overall, he's going to be doing more damage, right? Because this is at a minimum of 40% buff to his damage, and this is not a 40% nerf to his damage. And then Meepsy has been a victim of having 2 really strong aura traits and being in an origin, right? Voyager and Shepherd are both very, very popular, very, very strong, which buys into her power budget as a tank. So when you itemized her as a tank, she was always weaker than every other tank. So then why would you ever itemize her? So she kind of was left a little bit homeless the whole set. How do we solve that? Well, we're just going to give her her champion augment spell, the Big Bang. So this is a spell where she kind of leaps into the air, jumps into your backline, slams down, CCs them for a little bit, and does a bunch of damage. So kind of similar to Brock in set 16. So now she'll always have that spell. So basically this means she's no longer a tank. She becomes a magic fighter, and there are a bunch of tuning adjustments to make sure she's not too OP and doesn't instantly one-shot your backline. But if you're a Meepsy fan, you thought she was cute, go try her out. Now on to 3 cost. Not as many changes here. I think the set's been out for quite a while that every single 3 cost has kind of gotten to live their fantasy. There's a couple that we wish were a little bit more fun. Right, Maokai has this Nova Selector bonus that almost no one uses for a while. But besides stunning the board, Maokai can do a lot of damage with it. I think one of my favorite builds in the set was Hellfire Hatchet Maokai. But we're just going to make that a little bit more accessible here, right? His AS, really slow, pretty normal for a tank, pretty boring. Buff that up to 0.7. Buff that Nervous Electric damage up almost, 50%. You build a bunch of HP on this guy, and he's going to become a real carry. So 3-star this person, itemize him. Honestly, just put a QSS on him. Who knows? And then just see him become a tank that does a not normal amount of damage. Rost, he's going to do a little bit more damage, not as much as Maokai. But there's always a small cool fantasy here with Rost that with that cool spell and his Scythe, he actually becomes sort of a mini tank carry. So to do that, we're going to lower his spell duration. So he's definitely going to get weaker as a tank. But it also means he's going to be mana locked a lot less. So he can chain back into casting faster and faster. And because he's going to want to cast because he stuns you. And his spell is going to do like 3x more damage, right? So Sterix, IE, these are fun things to do. He won't be a solo carry, right? We didn't go that far. But hey, a nice off build to try if you're bored. And then finally, people remember this from PBE and the early days of set 17. Medallion Lulu. Medallion Lulu drops gold every few casts. This works with Replicator. So if you have 2 or 4 Replicator and you have 3-star Lulu, you're just going to be printing gold every single round. Pretty fun. We brought it back. Speaking of gold, we have Tahm Kench. Now, if you remember really early on, the fantasy for Tahm Kench was that every so often he could print you the perfect thing for your team. But one of the issues of being a generic 4 cost that still needed to be a tank is that we had to nerf that gold output so that he could be tankier and like actually help anchor your team. And that means that when you don't have as much gold available for Tahm Kench, he really couldn't give you that many exciting things, right? He mainly ended up giving you champions or gold most of the time. Not that fun. So we've upped that number a lot. This gives Tahm Kench more options to search through his perfect scenario, which means he can give you components, 5 cost, 4 cost, more tailored things, 3-star units, stuff like that. So definitely go check it out. He's back to his former glory. And finally, last but not least, we have Zed. Zed was locked behind an augment the whole set. We've disabled that augment because he's now added to the base champion roster. That means that you can just find him like every other 5 cost in the set. Obviously, he's a little bit more strong being a gold augment, so we've nerfed him a little bit. His base HP is going to go down, which is really going to hit how strong he is at 1 and 2-star. But if you're a Zed fan, you can go find him every single game. Really, like, honestly, you just have more power budget with him, right? You can have augment pairings, you have artifact pairings, you can just find him every single game. So it should be something to be excited about. And that wraps up 17.9, and more importantly, that wraps up set 17. It was a pretty interesting set. A lot of learnings about what went well, what didn't go well. Maybe I'll talk about that later. But I hope everyone enjoys this, and I hope everyone enjoys Enchanted Wilds even more, right? That's our goal on TFT, is that every set will be better than the last. And I think 18 is really, really fun. A whole new, brand new theme. We go from space into the forest. So I'll see you guys there. Peace.